Growlanser, it's one of my 3 favorite JRPG franchises of all time. So I'm sorry for those who were waiting for Breath of Fire or Valkyrie Profile or any other JRPG franchise, but I just couldn't keep waiting any longer. One of my 3 favorite ones, right? I think Glowlanser is still nowadays a pretty underrated series. It needs more love, it needs to be out there more and have more presence in the JRPG world, because it's just awesome. Now this fantastic series only released 6 games, and here I have Growlanser 2, Growlanser 3, the same game, Growlanser 4 and Growlanser 5. I don't have Growlanser 1 and 6 because, well, you know, I mean, it's just because they were never released outside Japan! It's impossible to talk about Growlanser without mentioning yet another series of games called Landon. These games are part of a franchise created by a company called Masaya Games, but developed by Team Career, which in 1996 became Careersoft. And these are the people responsible for creating the great franchise Growlanser. Now, Team Career developed the first Landon released for the Mega Drive in 1991 in Japan, also for the PC Engine, but in North America the name was changed to Warsong, released on the same year. The rest of the world didn't get this game. So, changing names, we all know that's a bad start, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Turns out that was the only Landon release outside Japan, but the series continued there for a while. 3 years later after they formed, Careersoft developed the first Growlanser for the PlayStation 1 in Japan in 1991. In 2001, it was also released for PC, but both versions were only released there, never in the outside world. It was supposed to be a spiritual successor to the Landon series, with different style of gameplay, now becoming a real-time strategy RPG game. Nobody knows if this spiritual successor stuff was Atlus's idea, since Careersoft was acquired by them in 2001, becoming a subsidiary. So now, completely alienated from the Landon franchise, which went to sleep for a long time, Careersoft focused on this new series. The first Growlanser was not exactly a success compared to other greatest hits back then in the PS1 era, and since it didn't come out of Japan, it was therefore completely ignored by the rest of the world. Either way, it had sold very well, so Atlus told Careersoft to continue on with a sequel. In 2001, Growlanser 2: The Sense of Justice came out for the PS2, only in Japan. Temporarily, of course. It was still a real-time strategy RPG, but now more focused on tactical maps, meaning you couldn't walk freely around anymore like you did in the first game. Again, it was well received, not that much, but enough to let Atlus know that people wanted a third game. Nevertheless, some fans complained about the aforementioned feature being removed, so when the third game came out, Growlanser went back to its roots. Once again in 2001, the Dual Darkness was released for the PS2, and once again, only in Japan. It was a prequel to the first 2 games, but this one, however, had been slightly more successful than its predecessor, so fans were happy, sales were rampaging, and Growlanser was finally accepted as a cool trilogy of strategy RPGs, mainly known and loved for 2 particular reasons. One being the original battle system and addicting gameplay mechanics, which I've already discussed in another video about the unique battle systems. The second reason being that all art and characters of these games were created by famous artist Satoshi Urushihara. He was also known as... Well, he also draws ecchi and hentai. Anyway, the good news was that Atlus was happy with the franchise, so it gave permission to Working Designs to localize the games to North America. In 2004, Growlanser Generations was released, including Growlanser 2 and 3. Yeah, why didn't we get the first one too? That is a question that's still nowadays open to discussion. Nobody really knows why the first one wasn't included. But what we do know is that working designs died after localizing Growlanser generations. Now let's go back a little. On December 2003, Growlanser 4 Wayfarer of Time was released also for the PlayStation 2, only in Japan, again temporarily. It was successful when it first came out, and during the course of time it gained more and more attention, with fans claiming it was the best Growlanser to date, but for the time being, the game stayed in Japan. So all the rest of the world had was Growlanser Generations, and people have loved it back then, asking for more. Everyone was wondering what the hell had happened to the first one, so instead of answering that question, Atlus ignored fans and published Growlanser 5 Generations in 2006. But since Growlanser Generations already existed everywhere else, they changed the name to Heritage of War. 1 year later, released in North America. In 2008, Europe finally got this, the first Growlanser game ever to be released there. And guess what happened? It failed. Certain things like the battle system had been slightly changed, sure, but that didn't mean anything. It's my favorite Growlanser ever, and in my opinion, far superior to all the other ones. But too bad not a lot of people agree with me back then. To make matters worse, there was no standard edition for North America, nope. The only release we got was a limited edition that was obviously more expensive than any other successful and mainstream RPGs back then. But in any case, even though the game had been great, decisions such as this made many gamers stay away from the franchise. Atlus was desperate. They really wanted the rest of the world to get into this awesome franchise. So what did they do? A remake of the first Growlanser for the PSP. Yeah! Only in Japan, yeah! Wait, what? In 2009, Atlus published this remake for the PSP. Only in Japan. Growlanser was fading away from the rest of the world, but Japan still had hope, right? So let's try it out first here and see what happens. Nothing happened, because now the entire fandom outside Japan wanted the game. But let's remember that publishers like Atlus are just a business, and if a series has a strong fanbase, that doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna make a lot of money, does it? So Japan was okay with this remake, but didn't actually give a damn because they were all playing Growlancer 6 Precarious World also for the PS2 since 2 years before! That's right. This game came out in 2007, exactly 1 year later after the worldwide failure of Growlanser 5. But we all know that some franchises in Japan are actually successful, while not being the same on the rest of the world. Nevertheless, yep, you guessed it right, this game was not localized outside Japan. What a disaster, what a mess. So what now? Was there any hope at all for this series outside Japan? Well, if Wayfarer of Time had been very successful there, why not release that one, but for the PSP on North America? Good idea. In 2011, Japan made Growlancer 4 over Reloaded, while 1 year later we simply got it with its original name, Wayfarer of Time, with no number to indicate us that this was the 4th one in the series and not the 6th one because we had previously gotten the 5th game. This remake, fortunately, was a commercial success. It is nowadays considered as one of the best strategy RPGs for the PSP and a personal favorite for many fans of the franchise and the genre. Me? I love it as well, of course. So Atlus and Careersoft, even though most of its members were now part of Atlus's main development team, finally saw real success outside Japan. So let's celebrate this by disbanding Careersoft and merging it into Sega Dream Corporation, which later became just Atlus. What a wonderful happy ending! So yeah, Growlancer died. I think through sarcasm I've made my point clear on what happened to the series, considering all the disastrous background it had, but in my opinion, the franchise stopped simply because it was never really that successful anywhere in the world, not even in Japan. And since Atlus had become by 2011 a major publishing company, especially for JRPGs, why give money to something like this? The members of Careersoft and some others from Atlus had already given birth to this masterpiece of a game and then to another successful sequel. Both games later ported to the 3DS, directed by Shinjiro Takada, same director of the Landon and Growlanser series. So what was the point of continuing on with Growlanser? I understand the developer's point of view and also Atlus's position on this, and I feel really bad at saying this, but after all the idiotic and messed up decisions they made with the first games, I probably would have done the same. The Growlanser games are nowadays considered mostly as hidden gems than mainstream classics, so this franchise obviously does not have a future anymore and has died for the best. I love it, don't take me wrong, I wish it could come back, but that's something that just won't happen. But hey, come back or not, at least today we learn what the hell happened to Growlanser. That's it, guys. That's what, in my opinion, happened to Growlanser. And I want to quote again, in my opinion, because there's just so little information out there on the internet about what really happened behind the scenes, behind the curtains of Growlanser's team career, which later became Careersoft. So we can only speculate as to why we never got the first Growlanser, as to why the sixth one was never released. But I think my point of view is pretty natural. I mean, it's only natural for people like me or people like us who play video games to reach conclusions of that sort, of that kind, because when a series dies, when a pretty underrated series, an unknown series dies, it's because it was never really mainstream to begin with. So it's really hard for a series that's not mainstream at all, that's really unsuccessful, to continue on. But like I said, that's just a theory, that's just my opinion, and I'll be gladly to read yours. Thank you guys for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!